Marie, Jared, is there any way we can put everybody on the screen?
In a grid view.
Go to grid view.
I did. It's on.
Okay.
Hey, Stephen.
Hey, gosh, Tom, how you doing, Tom?
Then my third Zoom meeting of the day.
That's how we're living now.
My eyes are getting cross-eyed.
That's how we're living. That's how we're living. Zoom, Teams.
Okay, so is all the executive board here? Somebody might be having too many devices near their computer or by their phone. If somebody is on the phone and they got a lot of devices by their phone, they probably need to mute it.
Oh,
You want
someone
to
is
do roll call?
mute.
Yeah, I need to know if the who's here from the executive board.
On the call, Marty Needleman.
Good morning.
Hi, Marty. Simon said he's on, but he can't go live.
What about Steve Weiberg?
I don't see him signed in yet.
Okay.
I'm in.
Do we have a quorum for the executive board? The only person missing is, how are we gonna communicate with Simon?
His microphone is on.
He said, he's got in the chat, he has a problem with his computer. Simon, you should probably, is there a dial-in number?
You call in? Yeah. Okay.
So the only person missing from the executive board is Steve Weisberg?
Simon Weiser.
Okay, Simon, you came in by phone, right? Simon, you're on the phone?
Has joined the meeting.
Simon, are you on the phone? Just got an announcement that Simon joined the meeting. Okay, let's get started. Look like the only person that's on Steve is not on. And Simon, they announced that he was on. So we need to go over our agenda, the items that we want to put on the agenda and how we're going to set up the agenda.
US 7 South Norwalk.
So did everybody get the outline of what the agenda might look like?
Yes.
Anybody got any suggestions? Okay, we got the meeting, we got the moment of silence, we got a roll call, we got approval of the minutes, we got approval of the agenda, we got committee reports. We've asked committees if they want to give a report to let us know if they want to give a report. And then what we'll do as they come in, we will list the names of the committee that way because we won't have a sheet for them to sign in. So as they send in their name or they send in their report, we will list them under committee reports. It will be 1, 2, 3, whatever your number is. If you're number 1, you'll be the first one to speak on the committee reports. And then we have the Parks Minute, which is going to be as written. Mary's going to send in her report. And then we're going to send out, then we're going to do the public session. And we want,
Simon Weiser.
we want people to submit a request
left the
that they
meeting.
want to speak. That way we'll have a list of people that want to speak and we will call out their names. So because this is going to be totally different for everybody. It's going to be different for me. And we're trying to lay out an agenda where it will go as smooth as possible. So this is one of the reasons we laid out the agenda like it is. And with the electeds, we ask them to, we ask the electeds to submit their names or whoever's going to speak. They will be listed as the name, number 1, 2, 3. They'll know what number they are. With the reports and the electeds, the speakers, we're asking people to submit their name, and then we'll call their names.
On the conference call.
Hello? And adjournment.
I have a question. Are we prepared to be able to do a full board meeting like this, or do we want to ask for some help with someone who's a professional facilitator? Are we ready to do this?
About as ready as we're gonna be, unless you have any other suggestions.
I'm just wondering, does the borough president have any people that they can offer to help?
Do it, which is the city agent set up this site for us to do it. They keep telling us that the other boards are meeting. I don't know how they're running their meetings, but we tried to structure it in a way where we could run the meeting as smoothly as possible. Are there any other suggestions?
I just have a question, Yes.
Yes, Steve.
Thanks. Yeah, well, the potential for any presentations, like for instance, Parks Department, they presented a new design for Bushwick Inlet Park. And it's something I think we're potentially voting on at the full board meeting. It might be good for board members to see the presentation.
Alice. Yeah.
Wait a minute. Wait, Phil.
Okay, well.
Okay, Phil, your Parks. Go ahead.
Yeah, I want to respond to that. I spoke to Mary Salad. We're going to put the presentation on the board's website. So anybody who wants to look at it before the meeting can look at it and review it before the board meeting, because we are going to make a vote on it. But Mary has the capacity to put it onto our website. People could scan into it and they could check the presentation out. So when we do vote on it at the regular board meeting, you'll understand what it's all about.
Well, if somebody's giving a presentation, they should be able to split their screen with us and show us the presentation as they're doing it.
Okay. You want to do it on the day of the meeting? You can do that. Or like I
Well,
said,
I'm just saying, if somebody wants to give a presentation, they should be able to split their screen with us, where they can show it to us also. But it'd be even more beneficial for them to get it to the board members so they can see it before, just in case they can't do it.
that's what I just said. That's what they want to do.
But I'm saying they should be able to split their screen with us and show it during the meeting.
Okay. I don't see where it'll be a problem for that. Well, it'll be on the website for people to view it before the meeting. And she could have a presentation. It could be there during the meeting before we vote on it. Not a problem.
Okay, and another thing is the votes. But the things that we have to vote on, we have no way of people showing their hand or whatever. I'm telling everybody right now, all the votes are gonna be by roll call. And that's gonna take a lot of time, so prepare yourself. Jocelyn, did I answer your question?
Yes, thank you. Del, you're muted.
Pardon me?
Looks like Del's trying to talk, but she's muted.
Well, I can't see Dale on my screen.
Can you hear me now?
Yeah, you went away.
Okay, so I have a question about that article. There was an article in the newspaper that said that we were considering voting on suspending elections until next year. Is that accurate?
That's something that the bylaws committee had a meeting about. Somebody thought it was, rather than have, because we don't have the vote, we tried to work we tried to get the borough hall to let us do an election by mailing out ballots and all that stuff. They wouldn't do it. A request went to the bylaws committee and they met on it. I don't know what they came up with, but I understand.
Alice, it's Marty. We recommended that, in fact, that we amend the bylaws to postpone the elections for a year.
Okay. Okay.
Well,
So that will come.
There were two
It's an
proposals.
It's an amendment.
Wait
to
a
the bylaws,
minute,
so
wait a
it's
minute,
bylaw
wait a
amendment
minute,
process.
wait a minute. That will come before, that will come with, somebody's got too much shit going on in the background.
Yep.
That will be the bylaws committee report. We will do what we always do. The bylaws, the committee come to us with a recommendation, the full board votes on it, or they don't vote, we vote on it. That's what happens. So that's the way this will be handled. So if they made a recommendation that the voting should be suspended for a year, it comes before the board, it has to be voted on.
Yeah, actually, it's more complicated than that because it's actually effectively an amendment to the bylaws, to the current bylaws.
Right, yes,
that's required.
yeah, okay, thank you, Mark. It's amendment,
It'll
due
be
to the
treated as
COVID virus and the climate that we're in, and we can't hold normal elections like we normally do. Maria, I see you shaking your head. We cannot, our bylaws call for us to have a paper ballot, but we vote on it. We got to have a roll call. We got to have everything because we can't, we couldn't do it like we always do it by paper ballot. So Steve, you were saying there was two recommendations?
But just a note that the postponing it for a year will require a bylaw amendment. It's not just a recommendation or a vote. It's a whole thing with the bylaw change. Let's go through the whole bylaw process if we do it.
So we're voting on an amendment to the bylaws to suspend the voting for a year. That's the recommendation, Mark. Thank you.
But I was going to say, yeah, there are two sets of amendments. One is for suspending the elections for a year and extending the officers' terms, and the other one is allowing for virtual elections and extending the officers' terms on a month-to-month basis until the elections are held. So they're both being presented by the bylaws committee report on, at the full board meeting.
No,
Two recommend,
no.
was somebody saying no? Somebody what?
I said no. It was,
Go ahead, Sonia.
is Marty there? Let Marty explain it. That's not what I heard.
No, I think Steve's got it right.
It was for the after the COVID, since given the time sensitivity of what is going on, we had agreed that after that we would add Trina's recommendations, indicating that if anything should happen, because we're still looking at maybe a year and a half of possibly coming up with a vaccination, whatever, that in the event that we couldn't have the elections, whatever was going on, then we would look at them month to month, Steve. That's what I understood from the meeting.
I think we voted to recommend putting it off for a year.
Right, exactly.
Well,
And then Trina
I'd like
came out
to
with
say
some more stuff
something.
that we said we were gonna add, like moving forward, in the event that there wasn't a resolution to this COVID, we would look at them the month to month. We agreed, but it was voted on
That's right.
that we would.
Okay,
extend
so
it for a year.
my understanding is that the vote is to suspend the elections for a year, but you
Right.
would monitor month to month in case we have to go back. We can go back and have a full board vote in person.
So, something to that effect, Marty.
Can I say something, please? As a member of the executive board,
Hold on, just to say that I think that is the recommendation of the committee.
I can't,
Yes.
I just want it to be known, as a member of the executive board, I will not support suspending the elections for a year. I think the board has a right to have elections, whether they want to change the executive board or they want to keep it, whatever it is. And I feel very strongly about that. I want it to be
Okay.
known.
Well, you're entitled. I have no horse in this race. I have no influence on this, but this, this is what the executive board, the budget, the bylaws committee came up with. I have no opinion one way or the other. I just know that the bylaws call for us to have a ballot vote in person. We can't do a ballot vote. So, I don't have any problem with anybody changing the board either. But I think what the bylaws committee is trying to do is come up with something that's best for these times that we're living in.
Exactly.
So, we're gonna have a hard enough time trying to have virtual meetings. So I can see with this executive board meeting that we are going off on somebody else's committee who hasn't even given a report yet. Like
Yeah.
I said, I didn't even know.
Alice, can I ask you a question?
Yes.
Did you read the letter that I sent and the proposal that I sent to you to
Of
forward?
course I read it. Of course I read it, and I sent it to the budget committee.
The bylaws.
I mean, I read it. I sent it to the bylaw committee. What do you want me to do?
What happened at the bylaws committee meeting is that my recommendation, I don't think any members of the committee had read prior to the meeting. And the recommendation by Jan to put the voting off for a year was considered first. And so Jan's things were voted on, and then mine were considered. What I sent had nothing to do with putting the vote off for a year. It was a way of starting. The two things were conflated, and they were two separate suggestions. And at the bylaws committee meeting, that's not how they went. I think it makes sense.
Excuse me.
Watch the video of the bylaws committee.
Hi, excuse me. We need to pick a date for the meeting before we have all this discussion. So let's do that. We go through the agenda. Then you're going to take a vote on the agenda, and we need a date so I can do that meeting notice.
What Maria's saying is that we need to, we're talking about a meeting, but we don't have a date for it. So let's choose a date for the executive board meeting.
I mean, for the board meeting.
We're talking about a full board meeting, right?
Yes.
We're talking about a full board meeting by, a full virtual board meeting. Anybody got any ideas?
Can you hear me?
Who are you?
Simon?
I'm Simon, yeah, good.
Okay,
Hi, Simon.
Yes, Simon.
Yeah, thank you.
Did you want to say something, Simon?
That's concern, but I do feel that you can't really have a fair election. And I understand, I do, I mean, my position is I understand the position of postponing, but I do, the full board will vote on it, so.
Can we pick a date? Can we do that first?
What about the 16th?
Has left the meeting.
The 16th?
It's not
We
enough time.
talking June 16th?
It's not enough time.
You have to have
time?
5 days.
Oh, yes, 5
So
days.
it'll have to be, the 18th, or we'll have to go into the week of the 22nd.
The 18th is open.
18th?
Why don't we go to the 23rd?
23rd, I think that's a good idea.
Yeah, 23rd. Yes.
Okay, everybody in favor of the 23rd?
Yes.
Yes. So,
I'd like to, do we have to make a motion on that, Dallas?
We all have to agree or disagree.
I'm sorry, the 23rd is election day.
Oh, yeah.
Ah,
Oh,
How about the 24th?
24th, okay.
24th, Wednesday?
that'll work.
Yeah, 24th is the day after the election.
Yeah.
Okay.
Can anyone
That's
hear
good.
me?
Hi,
Hello?
Maria.
Okay,
Yes.
I've been muted. I don't know what happened and I couldn't unmute.
Uh-oh.
I wasn't able to understand the last part of what was said back in it's too long to go back now because I've been I was asking about this second option that I didn't understand. I didn't understand the whole thing because I don't know anything about this right now.
Mm-hmm.
So is it that we're agreeing to have the full board meeting now, the day after election day?
Yes.
Yes.
Or
Yes.
full board
It's
meeting
gonna
on
be
June 24th.
It's going to be a very interesting week because we are bringing to the table that the board budget committee has been meeting to discuss the Hester Street presentation to the full board and the community. We're thinking it's going to happen that week as well.
Wow.
I think you had picked the 22nd and the 25th for those items.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
Maria,
Exactly. Yes.
my thing with the Hester Street, presentation, I think we should have a separate meeting for that.
And this is what we want to propose. We need to have them come present to the land use committee, to the executive committee, so that you all can see what they have come up with and what is in the final presentation. And then we are going to have a presentation made to the entire community. And we were talking about that same week to have this happen because we have to meet the deadline of June 30th to deliver to the board and to the community. So if we're having a full board meeting that same week, it's going to be a week full of a lot of activity for people, including election day on the 23rd. So we're talking the 22nd, 23rd, 24th, 25th. I just want to raise that.
That's a good point.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm sorry to regress, but I was trying to unmute and I wasn't to unmute. I was.
It's gonna be so crazy.
I think the reality is that we're stuck with that, and the Wednesday the 24th may be the only feasible day to do it. The following week is crazy because it's the beginning, almost the beginning of July.
Yep.
So the proposal on the table is Wednesday the 24th.
It's what it is. I mean,
How many people want to do it on the 24th?
Aye.
Phil Caponegro, yes.
Sonia
Yeah.
Iglesias.
all right.
Del, yes.
Okay, well, let's do it on the 24th, and Maria, maybe you should try to set up yours sometime next week.
Well, Hester Street, we tried to do it quicker, but they kind of said that they would prefer to do it that week. We tried. We've already had the meeting with them. And those dates were the dates that we were given as potential dates.
That's right.
What time do we want to do the board meeting? Do we still want 6?
Yes.
Sure.
Okay, the board meeting will be June 24th at 6 p.m. by virtual meeting.
God help us.
So let me ask a question, and I'm sorry, I'm just trying to be preemptive. So if it is decided at the full board meeting that the board wants to proceed with an election, is that election going to happen before June 30th?
No. It can't happen before.
Which is going to require yet another amendment of the bylaws because it's going to pass the June 30th date? And again, I'm being preemptive because
I think it requires a bylaw amendment regardless, because I think June 30th
Yeah.
is also late.
Well, the second proposal includes extending the officers' terms on a month-to-month basis until the election occurs.
Why month to month, Steve? Why month to month? Why month to month?
Well, it's just allowing for extra time to have the elections if it goes beyond June 30th.
got it. So that could mean potentially that it would be September, October when the board hopefully resumes and we're back to normalcy? Is that?
No, I have no idea when we'll get back to normal.
Absolutely. That was the issue at the bylaws meeting. We just don't know.
The feeling was there was no terrible thing to keep the board as is, and to have the elections in the ordinary course a year from now, when we otherwise would have it. That was the feeling.
Right.
Simon wrote in the chat, I feel that you can't have a fair election process, so it's okay to postpone for a year. Anyway, the issue will be voted upon by the full board. I don't know if
Yeah.
everybody's got their chat on,
Yeah, I got it.
because we can't hear him talk.
Yeah, I'm here. You hear me?
Oh, you're here.
Hi, Simon.
Simon!
Hi.
Simon's in.
Postponing it for a year will require an amendment, so.
So would you like to speak to what you just talked about, Simon?
No, I just said that I can you hear me?
Yes.
No, I heard what Dallas said before. Sorry, what the issue was brought up before about it's not fair about postponing. I do understand, but this I think it's not a fair election when you can't meet the people, anybody for any office, whatever it is. But basically, the full board will vote on it. So we can discuss what we want, but I think the full board has to vote on the recommendations. So it's up to the full board, right?
Yeah.
Yes. And
Correct.
plus we must keep in mind that we can't do our vote according to our bylaws. Our bylaws doesn't call for a virtual vote for elected office because we call for paper ballots.
Well, the bylaws could be amended so we have a virtual vote.
Is that in order to amend the bylaws, you need to have a meeting of the ordinary course.
Well, the bylaws need to be amended either way.
Yeah.
You can't amend it. You have to amend it the way it's allowed now. That's the problem.
But
Some
the
technical issues.
committee already approved Trina's recommendation, which would allow for the virtual voting.
I'm sorry?
As I understand it, the bylaws committee did approve Trina's recommendation, and that recommendation would allow for the virtual voting.
But that's for 2021.
No, my recommendation was not for 2021.
Because if we
Recommendation, Trina, because I wasn't privy to I didn't see the meeting. What was the recommendation?
Okay, the first, Jan Peterson had written a letter recommending that the election be put off till 2021. And
Postpone.
She
Postpone, Trina, postpone.
Yeah, postpone. And she presented what had to be changed in the bylaws to affect that. As a counter proposal, I wrote a separate letter with a recommendation, the 3 different things that had to be changed in the bylaws to allow us to hold the elections virtually at the next time we're able. Once we have the kinks worked out and how it gets done, and maybe the borough president could recommend how you can hold a virtual election. But the changes in the bylaws that I recommended, I'm sorry, do I have an echo?
Yes, you do. Yes, you do have an echo.
Okay, I apologize for my echo. I don't know, but
You might have a device, you might have a cell phone or something next to your computer.
No, my cell phone.
Go ahead, Trina.
Okay, maybe my letter could be shared. Maybe my letter and Jan's letter should be shared with the whole board. And then that people can see the 2 different proposals. The modifications to the bylaws that were voted on in response to my proposal were voted as to be recommended were that we get rid of the need for paper ballots. And that secondly, that the terms of the officers be extended on a month-to-month basis until elections can be held. And then to allow for elections to happen, it's the section of the bylaws about special elections, and get rid of the word interim dealing with the vacancy. So basically allowing for a special election to take place when we're ready. It's outlined in the letter that I wrote. I think it's easier for people to see it, but it's an alternative proposal that allows us to vote remotely once, obviously not at the June meeting. Maybe at the June meeting there can be nominations and maybe no one will be nominated. But then the next time we meet, be that if we meet remotely in July or August or in September, we could then hold the elections, and perhaps the borough president could advise us as to how people are doing elections on WebEx. But the change in the bylaw would get rid of the need for a paper ballot, which would be impossible on WebEx.
But right now, the only recommendations from the bylaw committee was to put it off for the year, and the other things as well. But still, all that has to go through the whole process of bylaw amendment. So it's just a recommendation from the committee, and then even the executive committee can't rule on it completely. That has to go through the whole process for bylaw amendment.
Was there a vote on that?
On what?
On the recommendations of the bylaws committee?
Yes, it was, and the bylaw committee recommending that to the.
Right. So why we going over this now? If this was the recommendation, was voted on, and move on. Why are we going back? Why is Tina Why are you discussing this issue now? It was voted
My name
on.
is Trina.
Simon, I asked what were the two options because I didn't hear what was
Right.
voted on by the bylaws committee.
Right.
And I guess she was answering my
Okay,
question.
okay, I'm sorry.
Thank you.
Yeah,
Thank you, Trina.
thank you.
Welcome. And also the bylaws committee did vote on my recommendations and voted to recommend each of the three different changes, modifications to the bylaws. And so those should be part of the recommendation too that's
Correct.
brought before the full
Correct.
board.
Correct. The only question would be, and we can always, if we adopt, and it's through a whole process, anyhow, to adopt these bylaw amendments, we may have to do a subsequent one if we want to have a election prior to next June.
Is there any other discussion on this matter?
I just
there
want to
any-
say again, I think it would be very good for the full board to see copies of the two proposals so that they can understand when the bylaws committee gives its recommendation, what the two proposals are. So rather than, I think it's important for the two letters, the letter from Jan and the letter from me, to be part of the committee report so that people understand exactly what the two proposals are.
Yeah, I agree with that. But
We'll
right
send it
now,
out with the report.
right now, it's the executive committee.
I agree.
Send it out with the report.
Thank you.
Is there any other discussion on this matter? Do we approve of the agenda?
Yes.
Yes.
Yes, yes.
Yes.
Okay, the agenda has been set. Is everybody satisfied with the way we gonna try to transition virtually with this agenda? Because this is not gonna be easy. And I see that from this meeting, it's gonna be some long discussions, and hopefully we can get this information out and the board can read it so they don't come to the meeting and don't know what we're talking about. So like I just heard, the bylaws committee have a recommendation, the board has to vote on it. Is there anything else?
No.
Any other questions?
No.
Nope.
Alice,
Motion to
I do have a
adjourn.
question. Will the Parks Committee, will Parks be presenting the Motiva? I came a little late to the meeting.
Trina, it's Philip, yes. Yeah.
So they will do a presentation.
And I don't want to keep wasting more time, but also Mary's going to put it on our website.
Okay.
So people can view it even before the meeting. And then we'll present it at the meeting also.
Because I know when we had our meeting, Phil, the Parks Committee meeting, there were comments that were made in the chat that weren't addressed. And so I think it's important that.
Yeah, they'll have plenty of time, ample time to look at it at their own leisure, not just at the board meeting. We'll work that out with Mary tomorrow.
If the committee's got something that anything that you got in your report that the board need to look at, I would advise you to get it to the office as soon as possible. So people can't come to the meeting and say, I didn't look at my computer, I didn't look at my emails.
Right.
So I would advise everybody to get their reports to the office as soon as possible so we can get them out so that people can have time to look at them. Because I don't know how this meeting is gonna go. We're not experts at this. This will be our first full meeting. I don't know how it's gonna go, but I'm hoping that it will go as seamless as possible. And I ask everybody, bring their patients to this meeting.
Yes.
Have a motion to adjourn.
Second.
Motion to adjourn.
Thank you,
Second.
everybody. Good night.
Good night.
Stay safe, everybody.
Bye.
Guys.
Good night.
Bye. Bye, Simon.